Ladies and gentlemen, just finished up a round of roster reviews, and I saw that we got Galactic Legend Leia's kit, so I'm excited to go over it with you guys. Read through the whole thing, so it's not my exact first impressions. I have thought through it a little bit, but I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means. It does look like they're going to be gating 3PO and Chewie's unique. There's nothing about the 3PO and Chewie in the kit that excludes him. But they're probably going to add text to 3PO and Chewie's unique saying, okay, as long as the leader is a non-Galactic Legend Rebel, because they're talking about gating that. Because otherwise, a lot of the talk has been 3PO and Chewie's unique with stat sharing will be insane with a Galactic Legend leader. They're saying that was before the realm of Rebel GL possibilities, so not going to have that. She seems to work really well with R2-D2. It's a specific call out. We know she's going to have Drogon too, and a lot of call outs to Rebel Jedi tanks, which when they said that old Ben and Kanan were going to work well with her, I knew there was going to be just calls to Rebel Jedi tanks because I think they're the only ones. I don't know if I want to use Kanan with it. I kind of want to keep him with Phoenix, so we might have a workaround there. And from reading the kit, I don't think CLS is gated enough to where he'd be unusable, although obviously you wouldn't have the CLS squad to work with. So let's just go through it from the top. On the basic, Righteous Retribution. Deal physical damage to target enemy. Rebel allies gain Retribution for 2 turns. That's going to happen on any turn. Like, that's the only thing that applies out of turn. The rest of this applies only on her turn. So on her turn, deal bonus true damage to target enemy equal to 10% of the damage other Rebel allies received since her last turn, and deal additional effects based on the target enemy's roll. So the more everyone else is taking damage, the more she's going to do with this. They talked about this in the insights. She's not going to be a taunting tank, but you're going to want to attack her first because of all these effects. And they said this is an offensive-only GL, or not offense-only, but it's an offense-focused GL. And I was skeptical, but I actually believe it from reading the kit. There's a lot of choices to be made, not the least of which is targeting enemies based on roles. It does different things to different roles as far as attackers, healers, supports, and tanks. And a lot of specific targeting you have to make for allies too. So it's going to run a lot smoother on offense with a human behind the wheel. So for the basic on our turn, attackers, it'll dispel all buffs on the target enemy and reduce their speed by 5 for a max of 200 per buff dispelled until the end of the encounter. That's amazing. If you're facing a buff heavy team, you dispel like 10 buffs, minus 50 speed right there, and you can keep doing it. That's crazy. I think that's the best one. I think attacking attackers with it, and it doesn't say it's gated behind a GL, so maybe you can do that to GLs too. If you attack healer and support, dispel all debuffs on all Rebel allies, so Mass Cleanse, also very strong. Equalize Leia's health protection with the weakest other Rebel ally, and then recover 20% health protection. So that seems like a special right there. That's a very powerful ability. And actually, I said I think the attackers is the strongest. It depends. All these are so strong. For tanks, call all other Rebel allies to assist, limit once per turn, and reduce the target enemy's max health by 5% per Rebel ally until the end of the encounter. And that's going to stack really well with the ambush debuff she applies. So actually, all these are fantastic. On her turn, it might even be tempting just to use a basic, even if you have a special. So it just depends. But really strong basic. And special number 1, Rebel Ambush, cooldown of 4. Do physical damage plus bonus true damage equal to 10% of Leia's max health. Remove 20% turn meter and inflict a stack of ambush on target enemy until the end of their next turn if they don't already have ambushed. This can't be, it's a locked debuff. Rebel allies gain 10% mastery and 25% potency until the end of the encounter. So that could stack up pretty high. I mean, not too much because cooldowns can't be part of our kit. Cooldown reduction can't be, you can't manipulate cooldown, so this won't happen too often. So you're not going to get too much mastery from that, but can't be evaded or resisted. An ambush, before I look at the rest of this, ambush is minus 50 speed and gain an additional stack upon receiving damage. So if you do a mass assist on someone with ambushed or ambush, it turns into ambush. Not confusing at all. At 6 stacks, lose all stacks of ambush and gain ambushed until the end of the encounter. I don't know. I feel like they could have come up with something better. That's also a minus 50 speed, but their protection is disabled. They're immune to protection up and bonus protection. So one of the most common annoying survivability mechanics is all the bonus protection and protection up. So that's really going to make it easy to get through people. I feel like this will be the opening move. Target like a tank or something that you really need to get through. Try to get as many attacks on them as possible, and then work through the ambush really fast. This also inflicts debuffs on all enemies based on their role, which can't be dispelled. So it's going to be a locked debuff on them. Daze for 1 turn on attackers, stagger for 1 turn on healers and supports. Locked stagger is pretty scary. It's there. I mean, it's for 1 turn, but it's there until you hit it. Can't be dispelled. Very nice. And then buff immunity for 1 turn on tanks. Okay, the whole ability can't be resisted to, so that's really strong. Locked Daze. I don't think we have any instances of locked Daze like where you can't dispel it at all. That's really strong. So yeah, that's a great ability. Then special 2, Tactical Offensive. All these are going to be Zetas, even though it doesn't say Zeta anywhere. But final text, dispel all debuffs and remove 100% turn meter from target other ally, which is interesting. At first I read it as you give it to the target ally, but you take all their turn meter away. And the more turn meter you take away, the more it benefits them. Deal physical damage plus bonus true damage equal to damage increased by 1% per turn meter removed. By 1% per... the way I read this, I assume it means by 1% per percentage of turn meter removed, because there's no other unit of turn meter. Removed from target ally to all enemies. So you're going to hurt them. The more turn meter you're taking away from your ally, hurts enemies the most. Then remove call to action from all allies, then all rebel allies gain call to action for 4 turns. I don't know why you have to remove it first. Maybe that's thinking of CLS, but they all gain it for 4 turns, which can't be copied or dispelled. So call to action, really strong buff. That's in the CLS kit, so let's hop over on that for a refresher. Call to action, it's described as affecting just Luke, but obviously now it's available to others. Ignores taunt, has plus 50% accuracy, 50% critical chance, and 50% crit damage. So the most valuable thing, in my opinion, is avoiding taunt. That's going to be really strong on this team, but also lots of extra damage and 50% crit chance. That is not negligible on a team that might not have a lot of crit chance to begin with. Yeah, they all get call to action, and then on their next turn, target other ally gains 50% offense for their next ability, and if it is their basic ability, they gain an additional 2% offense for each percent of turn meter removed, and ignore protection for that ability. That's crazy. So if you take 100% of their turn meter away, they gain 250% offense total and ignore protection. So I anticipate this being used on Drogon, and you're going to one-shot people. It's going to be crazy. If target ally defeats an enemy during that next turn, they gain 50% turn meter. That gives me BT1 vibes. Kill someone and gain some more turn meter, but not full turn. Target other ally gains stealth and 150 speed for 1 turn. So if it's not enough that they're gonna like wreck people's faces, you hide them and give them a lot of speed. So it's gonna make sure they get to that next attack really fast. And then, once again, inflict stuff based on rolls. Inflict debuffs based on each enemy's roll, which can't be resisted. So this is hitting everyone because it is an AoE. Attackers, crit chance down and crit damage down for 2 turns, nerfing their damage. Healers and supports, potency down, tenacity down for 2 turns, making them susceptible to more debuffs and not being able to inflict their own debuffs. And tanks, defense down, vulnerable for 2 turns. So pretty role specific there, or role appropriate there, rather. Another strong move, a lot of stuff going on in this kit, and that's might be another great opening move. I don't know what we're going to use this first, the second special or the first special first, but this is going to delete people. And now onto the uniques and the leadership for Leia. If I look a little bit sweaty or a little bit worn out, it's because a friend just came by and helped me move a massive a really heavy treadmill into my basement, and it weighed a ton, so that kind of wore me out. So the first unique, Forever Our Princess. At the start of the battle, R2-D2 gains 75% max health, max protection, offense, and potency until the end of the battle. And that is going to apply before Number Crunch shares stats. So it's almost going to be like 3PO and Chewie's level of stat sharing, because that is a ton of extra stats to R2-D2, which is a pretty safe way to incentivize people to use R2-D2 on the team. Until the end of the battle, he gains stealth for 1 turn and assists whenever Leia uses a special ability, dealing 50% more damage. It doesn't do a ton of damage to begin with, so I don't know how much it'll be, but it is a stun, which is really nice. Damage R2-D2 receives is decreased by 20%, and rebel allies recover 10% health whenever he attacks out of turn. So they really want you to use R2, and a lot of great bonuses for that. If all allies are rebels, at the start of her turn, in each enemy's turn, Leia gains Fearless if she didn't already have it until she receives damage, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. When an enemy turn ends while Leia has Fearless, she gains 2% max health. All enemies lose 5% mastery and 15% defense until the end of the encounter, and she gains 4% ultimate charge. So that's part of the, defense won't be as good, because if a human's controlling the team facing Leia's team, they know to attack her to put the kibosh on that. If you're taking her on offense, they might be stupid and let you get a lot more ultimate charge and a lot more stat manipulation. While she has Fearless, at the end of each of her turns, non-scoundrel rebel allies gain 5% mastery, so trying to get out like Han and Chewie. Until the end of the encounter, and Leia gains 4% ultimate charge. Leia can't gain Fearless if she has a taunt effect. So I read that as if she has marked or something, because people will probably face her and put a mark on her with Giant Revan or something. At the start of her turn, all other rebel allies recover health equal to 100% of the damage Leia received since her last turn. And if they already had health at 100%, they recover the amount in protection instead, which is great, because recovering health is not as nice as protection, because if you're down on health and you already have no protection, you're not in a great spot. Last clause, whenever a rebel attacker or rebel support ally is dazed, they gain bonus protection 100% for 1 turn. Whenever an enemy is ambushed, all rebel allies gain foresight for 1 turn. Whenever a Jedi rebel tank uses an ability on their turn, Leia assists. So that's part of the synergy for Old Ben and Kanan. Still don't know if it'll be enough. And then the Fearless ability, other than what's described here, all allies are immune to expose and fear, and have 50% offense and tenacity, so quite big boosts. You put that on top of 75% offense to R2, he gains 125% offense and then gives that 10%. So whatever his offense is, more than double it, and he's going to hand the rest of that out. So a lot of bonuses going on there. Unique 2, just the Galactic Legend one. This is the same for all of them, which kind of takes away the meaning of the term unique for an ability, because they all have it. This is just extra max health and protection per relic amplifier, and then reduced damage by 30%. And the leadership ability, all rebel allies have plus 40 speed. Non-scoundrel rebel attackers gain 25% mastery, 50% max health, and max protection. So that excludes Han and Chewie, but doesn't exclude CLS. Don't know if CLS will be optimized to go in here. I mean, it'd be taken away from another turn, but I could see people trying to do it. Jedi Rebel tanks gain 100% defense for 2 turns at the start of each encounter, protection up of 50% for 1 turn whenever they gain taunt, and they deal bonus true damage equal to 20% of their max health whenever using a basic ability against an enemy with protection up. So that'll be good for a couple 10,000 damage. So really going to want to mod those tanks for health. I just had a sneeze there, and Gus thought I was dying, so he came over to help me. He is just going crazy right now. Rebel allies take 25% reduced damage from attacks out of turn and are immune to max health reduction and plague. So, very interesting specific call out there. Maybe they tested Marin, this against Night Sisters of Marin. It didn't go well, so that's probably some good foresight on their part, because they see what's happening to Jabba. Whenever enemies attack out of turn, non-scoundrel rebel allies gain 1% mastery, stacking until the end of the encounter. It's going to be a little slow. I mean, 1%, can't even make it 2 or 3. At the end of each rebel ally's turn, dispel foresight and stealth from all enemies. Could be useful. Whenever enemies lose with less than 100% turn meter, gain bonus turn meter, rebel allies gain 100% crit avoidance. Wow. And Emperor enemies gain bonus turn meter can't gain bonus turn meter for 1 turn. Whenever a rebel ally has their turn meter reduced, they can't have it reduced again for 1 turn. So this really looks like it's anti-Imperial Troopers. So Imperial Troopers, if they get a chance, they can run the table on you. So this is probably cutting that in the butt, nipping that in the bud before it even happens. So a lot of good foresight by CG here, but we'll probably find something to cripple this, I'm sure. Whenever an enemy is revived, all rebel allies gain 10% turn meter. So another anti-Night Sister thing, maybe anti-Jedi, really depends. Enemies inflicted with burning from a rebel ally. I mean, I don't know why you have to specify that. What are you going to bring Django on the team? They can't recover health, and if burning is dispelled on an enemy, they take 20% of the max health damage. So getting burning is going to be nice no matter what. Even if it's dispelled, still has some damage when it's taken off. Whenever a rebel ally inflicts an enemy with burning, they gain damage immunity for 1 turn. So it's Drogon and R2. The first time a non-scoundrel rebel ally loses all their protection, they gain second wind for 3 turns, which can't be copied. Second wind is kind of like a little mini savior mechanic. If they go to 1% health, lose the buff, gain 50% health protection instead. And then here's the big one. This is a small clause, but it does a lot. Allies and enemies are immune to cooldown manipulation. So sorry, Commander Ahsoka Tano, not going to get that insta-kill. Sorry, Maul, not going to increase cooldowns on anyone. So that's kind of like the JMK-esque clause here, just for cooldown manipulation instead of turn meter. Very strong leadership. A little convoluted, hard to see how it's all going to play together, but it definitely looks fairly strong to me. And now let's see the ultimate. Gain 4% ultimate charge whenever an enemy's turn or Leia's turn ends while she has Fearless, and then 1% whenever a rebel ally deals damage while they have Call to Action. Deal true damage to all enemies equal to 30% of her max health, and 90% against enemies who are ambushed. So that won't be a ton of them. You probably just will have 1 at a time because of the way it's from the 1 special and it's cooldown of 4. Then remove 100% turn meter, inflict ambush on all enemies for 1 turn. That's the first one. Who don't already have it, and if all allies are rebels, fracture all enemies until the end of Leia's next turn or she's defeated. That is so strong. Galactic Legends will still be able to go at minus 50% speed, but everyone else is going to be dead in their tracks for at least 1 more round of turns from Leia. Thankfully, she doesn't have the same mechanic as Thoron, where she's like gaining, she's not gaining turn meter as much. So it's not going to be prolonged fracture on everyone, because presumably she's very fast, but that is an insane mechanic. And next, all rebel allies recover 100% health and protection and tenacity up for 3 turns. Seems a lot like Jabba with the recovery, which is undispellable tenacity up. My gosh. All other rebel allies gain 50 speed for 2 turns. If the ability defeats an enemy, revive all defeated rebel allies, and they recover full health and protection. So hello banners if you get to this. All non-scoundrel rebel allies gain 30% mastery until the end of the encounter, and other rebel allies gain an additional 50 speed for 2 turns. So yeah, that is a lot in the ultimate. It's big damage against like 1 enemy at a time. Otherwise, it's really like a tactical healing and stop the enemy in their tracks kind of ultimate. So put together all this, it looks for a very strong Galactic Legend, and I actually do think they might be right that it's offense heavy or favors offense. So final verdict, looks like a really fun kit. I think that you're definitely going to want R2 and Drogon, and then at least probably Old Ben. I mean, I don't know if they're optimal. I think what they're doing might not do enough to make them like for sure the ones to use, like Jedi tanks. I think that'll be flexible there, but I think for sure those first 3. The basic is really cool. I think that's a really fun basic. That's a lot of the strategy right there, who you decide to attack, which really makes it maybe a little bit weaker on defense. Although in the end, I still think it's going to be pretty strong on defense. The main things that are going to make it weak on defense are you as a human player are going to know to target her, and that's going to cut out a lot of her ultimate charge and reduce the damage that she does based on this clause of her basic. So the basic is a lot of the thinking behind it, and you got to target who you're taking turn meter away from with this ability. But I can't believe that they're not gonna like pre-program the AI to target Drogon. So I think on defense that might still be working. I mean, if they don't do it for that, then it's like, yeah, you probably don't want to do it on defense, because if it's like you give it to, I don't know, Kanan or something, it's not going to be that or Old Ben, even worse, it's not going to be that impressive. So yeah, I'm excited to try it out. It'll be a few months for me, but keep an eye out. I don't think it's going to be like so dominant that it's like freezes everyone else out that doesn't have it, where they have no hope in Grand Arena or Territory Wars or anything. But definitely looks like a really fun kit, and can't wait to try it out. So everyone, thanks for watching. Those are my first impressions. I'm excited to see how this unfolds. But to me, it looks like they did a great job at trying to preserve the CLS squad and make use of some lesser used characters, R2-D2. But that effectively kills the sortie lineup unless Lobot can really turn it around. And don't forget to like and sub if you did enjoy the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.